I'd like to call to order the May 2nd, 2023 special meeting of the Everett Public School Board of Directors to order. Will the secretary please read the roll?
President Lassane.
Present.
Vice President Mitchell.
Present.
Director Herman.
Present.
Director Nichols. Director Mason.
Present.
Thank you very much. Our first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Saltzman, would you mind introducing the agenda for this evening?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and to the public this evening. This afternoon's agenda contains a segment for the study session for strategic initiative updates, E2B, E38, D2A, D2B, and C1B. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saltzman. If all directors are in agreement, the agenda will be approved as general consent. Great, fantastic. Director Mitchell.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll now move to section 4.0, which is our work study session. And our main presenter this evening is going to be Dr. Meisner. He will present all the follow-on presenters. Dr. Meisner, you have it.
Thank you, Dr. Lassane, directors, and Dr. Saltzman. We are very pleased tonight to provide a fifth board study session. It is focused on progress with the strategic plan. It is early May, the sun is out, and it's still hockey season in our region, and we have a lot of exciting progress to show you. We have 3 updates for you tonight, following our typical routine, each lasting 30 minutes with interactivity and discussion throughout. So in total tonight, we have 5 strategic initiatives, and the way that they are organized. The first 2, Chris Fulford will provide an update on E2B, E3A. These are interdependent initiatives, so they've been implemented together. Those 2 initiatives are very focused on our efforts to foster community partnerships and temporary responsive engagement with communities. Similarly, Brian Beckley will provide an update on 2 interdependent initiatives. The broad theme there is how are we fostering culture of innovation in our system. And our last initiative for tonight will be an update from Larry Guttenstein. You might recall in January, Larry provided his school update, which had a big focus on middle school and course offerings. And at that time, there was a lot of work to be done. And we have an update from Larry to go deeper into a lot of the great that has happened. So we wanted to take this opportunity to show what we want with that. So as typical with our common routine, you'll hear the big idea and importance for each of the initiatives. You'll hear milestones and timelines, celebrations, and examples of this work. Our efforts to progress monitor the implementation of these initiatives, next steps, questions, and discussion. And with that, I'll invite Chris Fulford to get started.
All right, good evening, President Lassane, directors, and Dr. Saltzman. It's my pleasure to talk to you guys tonight about 2 strategic initiatives, E2B and E3A. Like Dr. Meisner said, these 2 are interdependent, and so there is a through line with both of these strategic initiatives. So we paired them together. So this is thinking about develop and implement culturally responsive outreach, where the schools visit the community and don't blink. And then develop an atmosphere of mutual respect and trust based on culturally responsive relationships with families. So how are we going out into the community, engaging with them, and how are we making sure that it's accessible and culturally relevant when families are coming into the school? So some of the milestones that we've had with this initiative is we launched the opening of our Family Resource Center. This has been highly successful. It's housed at Hawthorne Elementary, but it is a resource center for the entire school district. So we can use it as a hub to collect donations that we're able to disperse out into schools based upon need. Our whole idea behind this is that it's a one-stop shop for our families to receive resources and so that we can help remove barriers to help students be able to attend school. Then the second thing on our list of milestones was the expansion of our Natural Leaders Program with a goal of having 100% participation in all of our schools, and not only that 100% participation, but to have these programs thriving within each of our schools. And the implementation of the dental bus program at all of our Title I schools. So what we were looking at with this was being able to provide dental care for all of our students, again, removing barriers for school attendance and families and students being able to engage in school. So at all of our Title I schools this year, we had a dental bus that has shown up. They receive an educational program, and then the students can sign up and, or the families can sign up, and the students can receive a free dental cleaning and sealants placed on the child's teeth that last 10 years. And this is with a partnership with the dental bus, and it's no cost to the students or the school district. So it's a fantastic partnership, and we will be expanding this next year to all of our schools, K-12.
Excuse me, before you
Yes.
go on, because I'm going to forget. The dental bus, how is it paid for?
It's paid for through grants.
Through grants?
Yep, and then they also, it's worked actually two ways. We have grant money, and then the families who have insurance are able to put their insurance, and it goes, that helps fund it as well.
Right.
The kind of positive benefit that's come out of it as well, or unintended benefit, is that families who have not had insurance and have signed up for this, we've been able to then follow up with our Family Resource Center and help them navigate the system and get their children on AppleCare, and so they now have medical and dental insurance. So it's been a great resource at our Title I schools. We've seen a great turnout. You'll see a slide later that'll speak to the number of sealants we've placed this year and the number of students that we've seen. So the celebration, the Family Resource Center, it has been doing really well. We have several photos here just showing some of the work that's gone on. We have a partnership with Souls for Souls. Thank you, directors, for helping pass that through, where we received 500 pairs of shoes and 1,000 pairs of socks for our students. So students and families that are in need are able to contact this building point person. They reach out to our Family Resource Center, and we deliver the schools, or deliver the shoes to the school. Next year, we'll be getting 1,000 pairs of shoes and 2,000 pairs of socks for our students. So we're hoping to get those in 2 waves. And so students can receive a pair of shoes at the beginning of the year and then a replacement in the spring. We also had a program where we brought in prom dresses for all of our students who were in need, and they were able to go and shop for those at no cost. And that was, again, through some community partners and some grant work that we had done. We also, this is a picture of the backpacks that we pack for unaccompanied homeless youth, and we're able to deliver to all of the schools to support them during the holiday break. So this is our plan for next year. We will be having the Best Dental Help, which is the dental bus that we have. We'll continue at our Title I schools. Community Health Center has taken on this next list of schools in Big Smiles as the other partner we are bringing on, and they will work with the final list of schools here. Another celebration is our Natural Leaders Program. This program is really starting to take off in many schools. They've put on great events. One of the things we really wanted to highlight is their work with this strategic initiative in thinking about how are they not only bringing families into the school, but how as the natural leaders are they going out into the community. Monroe Elementary's natural leader team has gone out to the Treehouse Apartments, and they have held multiple meetings there now where they have a large population of families that are a part of that organization. So we are really starting to see a lot of great things happen. This is a picture from 2 different schools. We have Everett High School, and then I'm not sure which elementary school it was, but a lot of great things going on there. 2 other milestones that we want to highlight is the launch and implementation of our parenting classes. So we offer free parenting classes. We, this year, have been targeting our ECAP program as well as our Title I schools based on the funding that we receive for these classes. They consist of cooking classes, just general parenting, guiding good choices, and other classes. These are all research-based classes, and they're actually approved classes for families who are trying to regain custody of their children. And so they can take this course and it's approved, and they can start earning that credit. The last thing we really have worked to improve with this strategic initiative is the two-way communication and collaboration with community. So we have our Family Engagement Advisory Council that has started to meet this year. We have our Dual Language Advisory Board, which is helping guide the work of our dual language program. We have the Front Door program with Kelly Clevenger, working with our students receiving special services, so partnering with those families and bringing their voices to the table. And then our Approving School Attendance Collaborative, and this is a program that is geared towards our students experiencing homelessness, and it's a wraparound service program where they're struggling with school attendance. And so this wraparound team goes in and works with the parents on removing barriers so that the students will attend school regularly and thrive in school. So this is an example of some of the parenting classes that we've offered this year. So What's for Dinner? This is our new class that we've launched called Cooking Matters. And you'll see in a video in a little bit that will highlight some of one of the families and their experience with this course. Some of the Rainbow Dance group, and then the Guiding Good Choices class. And we're making sure that when we're offering these classes, they're also being offered, and we have interpreters who are able to interpret in their home language. So we have had families able to attend the class that do not speak English. So this is just to highlight some photos of our engagement councils. We have our dual language council up top, is our Front Door program down here, and then our family engagement council in the upper right. Okay, so for our activity, we have just a question, and if you'd like to respond. So what in the video resonated with you that connects to our strategic objectives, E2 and E3?
Directors, who would like to start? Well, I'll go first. I think when I heard the stories from the two parents, I think they were natural leaders, talking about the support that they received with the cooking classes. I thought that was the most, I guess you would say, joyful surprise I got from this, because I wasn't quite sure how many parents were engaged in that cooking class and what did they take away from that class and how they could use that to help their students, you know. And being able to have a parent tell me that from that cooking class, we now as a family, the kids cook, and you know, we find what can be done quickly. Because I know in my household, it's, you better hurry up and get dinner on the table, you know. So I found that very joyful. And hearing that was important to me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the whole precedent of that class is helping prepare healthy meals on a budget. And then everything they prepare that day in class, you saw them taking the bags away. That's everything they need to prepare that meal with their family. So they practice it that day in the class. They go home and they make that meal with their family that night. And then they come back and talk about their experience in the next class. Thank you.
Do you want to chime in, Director Mason? There's so much here. This is clearly like the feel-good section of this. There's so much great work happening. The natural leaders, I've been able to go to a couple of the multicultural nights at the schools, and the way they've been able to bring those back this year. So the teams at each of the schools, it was just, it's such a great celebration. And I love how it's a celebration of culture, but it's bringing everyone together. There's so much there, and the reminder of Madrona Square as well. I guess when I look at what resonates, those responsive relationship, it really comes down to that relationship, and all of these are really building those relationships. So yeah, thank you for compiling all of these good things into one. Yeah.
Tracy, or?
Yeah, I just want to say that I almost teared up with all of these stories because it completely goes above our, if you can hear me, the K-12 or the pre-K-12 education, that we've heard for years how much we need to support the community. And I cannot believe we're doing so much, and that especially the expansion of the dental programs, that is outstanding, Chris. And I just want to thank everyone for all of their strong work with everything I've heard.
Thank you, Tracy.
Karen?
Yeah, it's just great. It's, education has changed a lot, and providing wraparound services wherever they're needed is, I think we all understand the payoff is just so tremendous. And it's something that we need to take charge of. So I appreciate doing that. I was wondering, do we have a natural leaders program in every school at this point?
All but one, yeah.
And have our numbers come back post-pandemic? Yeah, okay, thank you.
You said all except for one. Which one would that be?
Sequoia High School.
Sequoia, oh.
Yes. As Chris has already stated, it was a goal. Dr. Salzman did make it clear last year that we wanted to be very intentional to have a natural leaders program, because we want to really go on what we say. We want all students, all families and community to feel like they belong in Everett.
Fantastic. I do have a question. I'm not familiar where Madrona Square is. Maybe I am, but I just don't know it by that name.
Yeah, so it is right behind Hawthorne Elementary. So
Oh, okay,
it's between Hawthorne and the college, the old
the
Baker
college.
Heights
Okay,
neighborhood.
Baker Heights.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
My question is, when we start looking at how many families we have placed that were homeless, how many have we placed this year, and how many do we need to continue to focus on?
Yeah, so I believe at this point we have 36 families that have been placed. We're kind of working with them as they're opening up space in that complex. We don't actually have a say as a school district who goes in there. We just help support the process. We've been trying to be really clear with the community that Everett Public Schools is not providing housing. We're really working with the families on the application process and helping them get connected with that housing.
Okay. When we say we're supporting those families, how many more do we still have yet to,
A lot. So we currently at this moment have 1,530 children who are experiencing some form of homelessness in Everett Public Schools. It's the highest it's ever been. By the end of the year, we'll probably have identified over 1,600 students. So you can see here some of our progress monitoring. We've connected 274 families to services including housing, legal services, and other health services. We've provided over 1,000 pounds of food to families who are in need. We've supported 138 unaccompanied homeless youth in the high schools with those backpacks. We've given out 62 bundles of diapers through a diaper service that we've partnered with. And then we've provided 110 families with supplies, including coats, hygiene products, and bedding. Our Natural Leader Program, so we're still shooting for that 100% goal. We're at one school to go. There's a list of events that they have put on in the schools and in the community. Our dental bus, so far, we've seen 500 students and have placed over 1,500 sealants. And so that's just with the 6 schools. Currently, the dental bus, if you want to see it, it's parked outside of Madison Elementary, and students are going in there daily and getting their cleaning and sealants. And then our parenting classes, so we've had 4 parenting classes serving 50 participants. So some of the parenting classes, we've been working to try to fill them up to capacity. The Cooking Matters class is actually full. We have 2 more sessions that are going to launch next year in the fall, and both of those have already filled up as well. So we're really excited. There's a lot of popularity with that class. And we're looking to continue to launch these programs. The best part is these have all come through partnerships with other agencies who are partnering with us. So it's free to us and it's free to our community. So it's been a fantastic opportunity as we've grown that program.
Going back to Madrona Square with the Baker Heights neighborhood, was it the intention that at least 80-something of the units that were being developed would go to families within the Everett Public Schools?
Correct, yeah. So those families are referred by the building point person within the schools to the project, and then we support through the process. So they've tried to reserve some of those for Everett families, knowing that our numbers are as high as they are with families that are living in our district, yeah.
Right. And how is the project going on? Is it in phases? And so therefore our numbers of referrals are in phases as well?
Yeah, it is opening in phases, but what we've been doing is working with the families, and we are getting them on the waiting list. So as they fill out the paperwork, they get added to the waiting list, and then periodically they'll have to re-up some paperwork, and we've been helping support that process. Yeah.
Was there a plan to have an ECAP program eventually put there?
Yes, there is. They will be housing an ECAP program within that complex, so we're really excited about that.
Would that be at the conclusion or starting next year?
I'm not sure where they're at in the project with that specific facility, but I believe it is intended to start in there next year.
The dental bus, it's through grants being supported.
Correct.
And we're serving 6 schools currently, all Title I. Is it the intent to go further when you start looking at the percentage of free and reduced at other schools that might be close to?
So that's why we brought on the 2 other partners. So they'll be providing the same service at every school next year.
Ah,
So every single school, every single child will be afforded that same opportunity next year. We brought on 2 more partners who have all agreed that this is important and that this needs to be at no cost to our families or to the school district. So it's a pretty fantastic partnership that we formed with these agencies.
is there any way or focus or look toward making a partnership appreciation night for all of our partners involved?
We should look into that. That's a great idea. All right, so some challenges. So funding continues to be a challenge. So making sure that we're securing grants and ensure that our programs continue. That is something that we're constantly wrestling with. The recruitment and maintaining families. So what we find is a lot of our families are involved not just in one committee, but in multiple committees. And so we really want to try to expand the number of families that we're having involved to prevent the burnout, but then also thinking about what are some barriers related to why families are not engaging, whether that's transportation, childcare, and other things. So we're exploring how we can help support that to just get more families involved. And then opportunities for centralized systems for coordinating family and community engagement. So just a better place for this to all land for our families to be able to access this. So our next steps is to continue to build that capacity of our family advisory groups. We want to reach our goal of 100% participation in the Natural Leader Program. We want to continue to build these parenting classes and expand our offerings and be able to bring more families on in partnership with that. And then continuing to remove barriers for families to receive the needed services so that the students can fully access their education. So those continue to be our goals and our next steps for this initiative. All right, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a quick question about the Family Engagement Advisory Council.
Yeah.
How I guess it's more of a, are there issues being presented to them for feedback, and are they providing feedback that you're finding useful? It's sort of these, we should do this differently. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we just launched that group this year, and the main focus has really been to grow the team to come together on this work. We used this initiative or these 2 initiatives to try to launch some of that work and start that feedback process. So they went through this initiative with us. They were able to provide feedback and thoughts about the work that we were doing to help guide some of the work that was going on. So yeah, they're starting that process, and the hope is in the future to bring more initiatives through that committee and have them provide meaningful feedback. Thank you.
Director Mitchell, do you have any questions?
I just No, I don't. I am learning from all of you guys.
Director Mason.
Yeah, I just, this is amazing work, and actually, I knew so little about it. So this is a great update, and it's as Director Herman suggested, a very happy update to hear the support that we're able to provide. I'm sure there's a much greater need than our, what we can do, but at least we're making inroads. And my request would maybe just to be, little steps along the way, maybe a Friday report update on a few programs, and when you kind of have a breakthrough of growth or you start a new program, that would be really fun to read about as it kind of happens.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that.
And I think our partnership with our community is very valuable for just growing the district and growing the district perception in the community. Having a partnership appreciation day in which you highlight what each partner is doing for the district and for families. I'm not quite sure how we do that on the website, where families can look for different things and the resources that may be available to them. I was very touched by the individual from the Family Resource Center, the family that was placed there in Madrona Square, and her comments. The fear out there is very, very large, and the fear that maybe your kids might be taken away from you or might be neglected is very large. And whatever we can do to ensure that we provide all the resources necessary that we can for families is important.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
One that I actually wrote it down and then forgot to ask. I'm just curious. I read an article recently that Seattle Schools is embedding a family resource center in all of their new and rebuilt schools, which seems like just such a great opportunity to spread it out as we plan and build and grow. Has there been any conversation around that?
Yeah, we've started exploring opportunities for that. One of the biggest barriers, again, is that funding and sustainability of a staff member.
Yeah.
So the facilities part is great, but it's that continuous conversation around, are we able to sustain staff for those positions? And what partners do we need to bring on to make that sustainable?
At one point in time, were we looking at something in the South End as well?
Yes, and we still are looking at an opportunity in the South End. Right now, we've been using the North End as a hub to continue to serve all of our families, but the hope is to open that South End Resource Center at some point.
Very good presentation. We really enjoyed it. Director Mitchell, do you have any further questions?
I really appreciate Caroline's question, and also the fact that what she said about the Seattle schools. I know that they are much bigger than us and have a lot more resources than we do. So I appreciate what we're doing right now, and I also appreciate what she said about putting these updates in the Friday report, because hearing about this dental bus thing, I think this is the first time I've heard about it. But if it was in a Friday report, we could have celebrated it. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Polk. Chris, thank you so much. This was great.
Okay, I would also just like to compliment Chris. He was the individual who went out with the relationships to interview the individuals that participated in the video, and we had their consent completely for these purposes, but it also demonstrates the relationship for them to open up and to share their story.
Yeah.
So I think that also speaks to the work of Chris and his team in this artwork. So we will transition now to Brian Beckley. He's going to update us on two related initiatives around fostering a culture of innovation. So with that, Brian.
Thank you. Good evening. President Lesane, Board of Directors, Dr. Saltzman, the community. I am Brian Beckley, and I'm the owner of the strategic initiative. Dr. Scott is our executive sponsor. And this, as Dr. Meisner shared, is a 2-year initiative. So what you're seeing here is last year's initiative, and that was focused on the fostering a culture of innovation across the district in year 1. Sorry. And it's with the goal of supporting and sustaining innovative practices in our district. That was last year's initiative, and it's been the foundation of this 2-year initiative. And so what you see here is what we worked on and what I updated you last year on. This year is drilling down a little bit more towards fostering the culture of innovation, but targeted towards student success and defining parameters for what that looks like. The objective and the theme are the same about what kind of innovative programs and practices can we continue to strive for under that theme of consistency and accountability. And in both years, we shared that we're on track for doing this work. There is a lot to celebrate, and there is a lot that this district has seized on in the last couple of years that are part of this initiative, and I'll highlight some of those pieces today. Another way to look at this, if you were going to look at the 2-year initiative, is around how you can see the theme and the objective remain the same, but how you go from the broad, like the culture of our district and how we can start to think outside the box, to how does this impact the classroom and what's happening in the classroom. And that was really the focus of this year. And as you'll see in my presentation today and talking about, is coming up with defining parameters around helping staff sort of know what to work within. The work that we have done is key aspects of the initiative are around working towards our milestones. And we need to do this about making sure we're engaging with others, that we're listening to our stakeholders and we're hearing what they have to say. And it begins with the initiative team that I work with. It's a nice cross-section of instructional and operational folks. And throughout the year, we engage with others. You see listed here some different examples from our administrators and supervisors. And I'll share some examples here coming up. Our Everett Public Schools Foundation, I work closely with them. Our operational department heads, making sure that they understand their role in innovation. It's not just about teachers in the classroom, but it's about our operational folks as well. The Technology Advisory Council. The nice thing about the Technology Advisory Council, even though it's focused on the integrated technology plan in that piece, is it's a nice cross-section of community members, of staff, and of students, and of all the different stakeholder groups. So it's an advisory council that has been helpful in sort of like listening and providing feedback on our work. And also our Community Resources Center staff that we continue to partnership. I meet regularly with our Everett Education Association group, and they are another stakeholder group that we engage with quite frequently. So I've shared this before, but I wanted to bring it back again. One of the first things our initiative team worked on was, as we began this work and we collaborated on coming up with a meaning of what innovation means in Everett Public Schools. And so there were some key words and phrases that came up again and again as we engaged our stakeholders. And we heard them repeated, and we included them in this meeting. And you can read this meaning, but really around new and improved ideas, that was frequently mentioned, around changing practices to work more effective and efficiently, addressing challenges to have a positive impact, and it's in support of our students and staff. Those were key phrases repeated over and over again. And as I've mentioned frequently when I talk about innovation, coming from me and my role, it seems odd, but there's no mention of technology. And I constantly have to remind people that, yes, technology might have something to do with innovation, but you don't have to think of something innovative to do with technology to be innovative. And so it's clear when I communicate, that's why the stakeholders are so key, that they can help me with that messaging, that technology is not even in our meaning. And that's key. So it's really more about new ways of doing business. It's about thinking outside the box, and it's about trying something new. And there are many examples of innovation. And you've heard about this. The nice thing about having me go towards the end is you've got a chance in all of these study sessions to hear examples of innovation. And all of these study sessions about strategic initiatives maybe even in your instructional reviews, you can think of examples of innovation based on what our meaning is. So, but let's just take a moment and let's just think about the last presentation that Mr. Fulford did. So we don't have to think back too far. Let's just think about that presentation. And when you're looking at this, what aspects of the things he shared, so I'm posing this as a discussion question, you can just chime in. Did you hear that you think fit within this of some of the things that he shared?
Oh, if I can add, innovation was definitely going out to getting that dental clinic in here, getting that, the Family Resource Center, the prom gowns, the shoes, all of that, everything that's in, because the definition of innovation is not just that it's new, not that it's just a change, not that it's just necessary, it's that combination of all three. So thank you. That's a definition I learned with my work.
That was very good, Director Mitchell.
New and improved ideas. I think it's new when you have families come in and cook a meal and then learn to cook that particular meal. It's efficient and effective when they can then carry the food that is used to cook that meal home so they can do it at home. And I thought that's new. It's a new idea. You may go to class and learn how to cook something, but you don't pick it up and, take, the ingredients home with you to cook it for your family.
Yeah, you heard the mom even say, I cook slowly, but I never thought about cooking all together as a family. So it kind of helped her think. So cooking is something that's not new to her. Exactly. But thinking about doing it differently with engaging with the family. Yeah.
I'll just chime in. Yeah, I think the idea is sort of a change in mindset of what we could be doing in our schools, and things like the cooking classes, different ways of engaging families with the idea that not only does it help them and help their family, but it does help build that trust. And then when it can transfer over to, let's say there is an academic issue, they now have more people and more trust in the system so that they can come forward. So it kind of all combines. So I think as far as innovating and changing our mindset of what we can be doing in the schools and getting out into the communities was part of that for me.
I think that's very well said, that you're building trust within the community, that they feel that they are part of the system, not the system is doing something to them, but they are part and parcel of the system as well. And we're both engaged in supporting our students.
And that was something the initiative team, and we heard from our stakeholders, is it's in support of student, staff, and the community. It's that idea that all benefit from, it's a partnership with all three elements. And Mr. Fulford's presentation really highlights the aspect of all three of those pieces. So it's a need that was identified and trying to look for ways to work more efficiently and effectively. I think and you could be thinking about, and probably in your mind, you've seen these types of practices in the classroom or in hearing some of the other presentations that we've done on strategic initiatives, because innovation is really everywhere in things that we're doing about trying to do business differently. So I thought that'd be a good sort of starter here. So really there were some key milestones that we worked on this year, targeting towards around innovation and around student success in the classroom. It began this summer. I did a spotlight presentation with our administrators and supervisors during the Summer Leadership Institute, and it was providing them a broad overview, a kind of a refresher of what we had done in year one, but really also got them thinking about the strategies. It was a really great opportunity because they were thinking about, as they were entering into their school or their department, about school improvement plans or department action plans, around having that conversation around, okay, what are some problems of practice in our work? What are some ideas we can think about? How can I as a leader support your work? And so that was a really great opportunity. at that moment in time in August to kind of prime the pump a little bit for the strategic initiative work of the year. There were two things that I covered in that I thought I'd highlight. And it's in terms of defining the parameters, the difference between loose and tight. And what we talked about is innovation, about being creative, sort of still has to live within some parameters, and we call that the things we're tight on. You see them listed here. We have to it's got to be following board policy, part of our strategic plan, using our district adopted curriculum, that we're safe and secure in whatever our ideas. That it's based on best practice. It's not just like, I think I want to try this thing, but there's some thought behind it. Perhaps they did some research or they've heard about it in another district, and that they've got an idea that they're going to use some information and data to guide their work. Where the creativity is the part that's loose. So as long as you work within those parameters, here is, think outside the box is where innovation lives. But innovation follows kind of four key elements: that they come up with a topic or a problem of practice, as I mentioned, that they come up with an idea they've thought through. This is an approach I'd like to try. And so think of if I was like the administrator or the department leader and someone is sharing an idea with me, this is the thing I would like to try to address that problem of practice. These are the people that I would involve in that. And this is what I'm going to look at to sort of monitor the success or the failure of what I'm trying. And so even though it's loose about what approach you're going to take, there is some parameters around that in terms of these key elements. And so I spent some time working through and talking with the principals around that. Loose is where that creativity lies. So another milestone we did this year, as we defined and kind of had a great foundation to the start of the year, was where we're going to celebrate and where we're going to promote. That was a big component of this, moving from the celebration, the promotion, moving from when we hear about examples to get people thinking about some other ideas that they've done. So we restructured the webpage to make it not behind a sign-in, which is where it was, to make it public. Year one, we were really intentional about year one. Let's have it, behind the staff sign-in, but now it's available for our community and for you all here to look through as well. That we continue to make that an element and a focus for people submitting ideas. So we have a Microsoft shared form that they can submit their ideas to us. Those come to me, and we promote those and put those on the website. So by sharing people's efforts about what they're doing, people can kind of see some examples and celebrate with others. I want to point out a couple of pictures here. So sometimes people, when they submit, they also share examples. These are, I'll share you this picture here is the problem of practice was engagement. This was a teacher in a school that was doing group presentations, wanted to really promote engagement and participation with the students that were in the audience, not doing the presentation. So she figured out how to utilize technology. So I'm using a technology example of where her panels would mirror to the students' devices. So some students are following along on their computers. They could actually annotate and provide feedback on their computer, while others might just be watching the presentation. And the nice thing about that is it helped the students that had visual difficulties or had trouble seeing in the room. It's right on the screen in front of them. And so she spent some time trying to utilize that technology in a different way to engage her students. This is the other program is called the ADAPT program. And this is, you've may have heard of before, we partnered with the Cascade manufacturing students, and they needed a toy drive, and then adapted these toys to use with our assistive technology students. So great partnership with CTE, with LITS, with assistive technology, and with our Cascade High School students. Got this idea from University of Washington through, I think it's called Adapt Husky is the name of the program, but we made it work for Everett. So they took a best practice that someone else had tried and made it work for us. And as we continue to promote it and celebrate it, others pick it up. And so the communication boards, as a reminder, we got picked up, I thought we'd just celebrate together the article from King 5.
Especially those with special needs, they can feel left out or isolated. But here in the Everett School District, they found a game changer for their playground. The playground isn't just a place to get physical exercise, it's also a place to exercise social skills.
Come on down there, you're gonna go play.
A tough lesson for kids like 6-year-old Elias, who doesn't talk much, at least not with his mouth. Elias is talking through a communication board now on the playground at View Ridge Elementary School.
All these options. Let's go to the drum.
When the words won't come, the board allows kids with disabilities to express their needs. Special needs students point to nouns, verbs, and activities on the board to create a sentence, telling their classmates what they want to do, leveling the playing field for all.
Unity Rock? Okay. Thanks for telling me.
Let's go to Unity Rock.
Teacher Madeline Stetcher pushed for the boards after seeing students have success using an electronic version in the classroom, creating more unity throughout the school.
So it helps people create the relationships with others who may not be in their class, and then play with each other, which is important for all students. And so they feel a connection with others in the classroom and then also out in recess as well. I want to throw. You want to go find a ball to throw?
Let's go find a ball, Leo.
The boards promote inclusion, acceptance, and understanding, connecting two different worlds with something as simple as a basketball.
Is it fun here?
Fifth grader Landon Smith says the board is leveling the playing field for all.
It's nice to be on the same page. You got to be able to speak to someone so they can tell you what they want or what they need.
The plan is to have these communication boards in all 18 elementary schools in the Everett School District by the end of the year. In Everett, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.
So that's an example where King 5 heard about the great things happening in Everett and they wanted to cover that story. So the promotion of the things that are happening being celebrated from outside the district, noticed by, this is something that came from somebody trying to address a need and trying to think of something creatively to engage those students. So just a great example, but I wanted to, I know you've probably seen the article, but I thought it worth repeating again to highlight that celebration. I had mentioned about the revamped website, so I thought I'd just share it with you. So the webpage, if you go to the district webpage, it's now under our district, and if you go down, it's under the quick links there. The innovation page you see still shot over there. We've taken the different examples and themed them, put them in some different categories because we were starting to just get a long list. And so we've sort of grouped those based on the submissions. When a teacher signs in, there's a form here that they can click to submit. So when they're reading examples of others, that's where they access the shared form. A community member would not be able to access the form. So that it would show as a link, but it wouldn't be able for them to access. So we continue to promote this webpage as a way of celebrating the great work that's taking place. Some of the recent examples that you'll find on the webpage, learning to code with VBots from Cedarwood, STEAM learning takes shape in the classroom at Whittier, future engineers building bridges at Monroe, iHeart Reading Project at Everett High School, skip counting on the Kraken at Garfield, water safety at Madison, a makerspace at Sequoia. Those are all some recent submissions that teachers have turned in from across the district that you'll find on our webpage now. We'll continue to promote and to celebrate the sharing. So along with the promotion is continue to provide support materials for our leaders and our principals. I'd mentioned about the sharing of materials and those parameters. You'll see here two examples. I've got here a picture of me presenting to the operational department heads, kind of talking this through on how we could grow innovation in our operationals space. But the innovation toolkit that I shared to both our administrators and our teachers, principals, and our operational really has this is a toolkit that we provided that they can use as support materials and having this conversation wherever they're at. So in some places, it's like a refresher I just need to keep priming the pump. I need to keep them excited about innovation. So we've got several prepared slide decks that they can choose from. Some are, I gotta like get them excited, gotta get them going. So they can kind of tailor them based on their need. Also some short videos that we've pulled from YouTube about just like, here's a 2-minute little quick, like what the parts of innovation that exist. Some leaders just need help with maybe some types of activities. What's an engaging activity I can do with my staff that's fun, that gets them thinking about a problem of practice and something they want to try, but just gets them thinking about it. So some group processing tools, some fun activities. So we kind of, all of this, it's sort of like a smorgasbord for them to be able to go in and choose. And so we call this our innovation toolkit. It's something where everybody gets something for wherever their staff or their department is at the time. Challenges and opportunities. We don't look at challenges as anything but an opportunity. So our challenges are our opportunities, and that's the way that we look at it. So the willingness and the courage and the culture around risk-taking is a challenge, but it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to have a conversation and to learn from our failures, and to be okay that we can learn with our failures, and for our leaders to model the support of that in their staff or in their department. We have amazing and creative staff. I am amazed all the time by the creative people we have, and so sometimes giving them that ability to explore safely and trying something new is really productive, is really powerful. We have leaders from all over the country that new higher orientation. I'm amazed all the places people come from, and they bring great ideas. I think about Dr. Saltzman and the things that he's brought where he came from and brought him to our district, that now those innovative practices, our instructional review process, targeted selection, our leadership development courses, our process, our community outreach, parent university, those ideas that he brought to us, we've made part of what we do now, that we're innovative ideas, and now they're just best practice. They're just what we're doing. And so seizing on the people that have come and their expertise, I think, is a real opportunity, overcoming the challenge of it's okay to explore, and reinforcing that and use of those provided support materials. I continue to promote the use of those. Hey, we're here to help you. We're here to support you. Here are some materials. Reach out if you need support. That can be a challenge sometimes with all that leaders are managing, but it continues to be a great opportunity for them to seize on those pieces. So to monitor our success as we move through is how often so these are our success measures. So are they accessing the information? Are they reaching out for support materials? Are they digging deeper with those? Are we observing? What are we seeing? What do we see evidence of innovation? One of our great measures we have is how many submissions are we getting? How many ideas are we getting? How many things are we submitting on our webpage? That's a great data point for us when we can know when it's time to kind of go back out and sort of, I think sometimes people don't realize, oh, that's something that's in it. I should share that. So sometimes when I see those examples, I'd mentioned the partnership with the Everett Public Schools Foundation. So their classroom grant program is an innovation classroom grant program. That's what it is. So lots of examples. There's, tens of thousands of dollars they use to support these classroom grants. So reaching back out to those teachers about, did you share the good news on our webpage? And oh, they're so excited to share that, but they never thought to do that. And so that continues to be a success measure for us. And listening to our stakeholders, I mentioned at the beginning, continue to reach out to those different groups to engage with them on giving us feedback for what we could do better and how we could improve that culture of innovation in our district. So that really is key to what happens next. that we continue to work on the promotion and the support and the celebrating the examples and the good news, the great news from Everett Public Schools. We continue to share and enhance the support materials we have for our staff, and are working with our leaders to utilize those resources to support innovation, to continue to celebrate, and continue to support those that need more support on how to have those conversations. I think we all have innovation at our core, and it's giving people the support of being able to seize on that, and to take ideas from other places and make them work for Everett, and then take credit for it. I don't know, celebrate it. It's very exciting. So with that, do you have any questions for me or my team? Well,
Director Mitchell, we'll start with you.
Oh, thank you. I found this very interesting. Two things I was thinking about. I appreciate the examples you gave, but have we ever tried like hackathons or innovation thons or something with like groups of staff, just to sort of bring them together around a particular problem? One thing we did this in my work, where it's not like you're trying to find the solution, you're trying to improve the process, but you look at the benefits and the weaknesses, and then you decide what the solution should be. But that if we've ever tried that is one question, and if there's a thought of time during the summer, during some lid days or something like that. And then the second question is that there are lots of people that when it comes to innovation, or when it comes to this sort of thing, how do we prevent staff from thinking, oh, this is one more thing, this is one more project, this is one more burden, and keeping that energy alive without it again being that one more thing.
Those are great questions, Director Mitchell, and that is one of those activities actually you mentioned is one of the activities in the toolkit around, you don't have to come up with this, it's around, here's this topic, and it's just generating what are the questions we need to address, and it's sort of that group think. It's actually one of the activities we have in our toolkit for teachers to use in a staff or in a department. To engage in that conversation can be really powerful. Some great ideas can come from that. And your other question about around one more thing is why we've tried to tailor the support for our leaders around how we can come alongside them rather than this thing they have to do. It's not an extra thing, but it's more of, what are some examples that are already taking place in your school? And let's celebrate those so they don't see it as something that's an extra, because we want it to be embedded in what they do.
Wonderful, thank you.
Director Mason, Director Herman.
Just a reflection of, obviously there's so many great examples of celebration, but I loved what you were saying also about maybe not celebrating the failures or the things that didn't work, but acknowledging that those are going to happen. There's going to be some misses. And so I really love that it's also just that culture of risk taking with having the boundaries. And another thought that had come to mind is I wonder, I guess, is in teacher evaluations, hopefully that does come across, that teachers, if they feel like they can do these innovative projects, they may try something one year because they think it may improve, and you know what, it may not, but it was worth them thinking outside the box. So I love that concept of developing that culture for our district. Thank you.
I think the greatest lesson that I learned in college, in some of my classes, is that we were required to list all of our failures in any experiment that we did. Because from those failures, you learn something, and it set the course for what's next, and allowed you to learn from those failures. And some of us had more than others, which was okay.
Yeah.
But it's great because from that, a lot of innovation came.
Yep.
And I think that's important, that we realize that failure is part of growing and part of developing new. I mean, we didn't get to the moon the first time people
Mhm.
tried to get to the moon. We got to the moon after a lot of failures and then success.
Yeah.
So I think it's really quite innovative
Yeah,
and fun.
yeah, it can be.
I just want to say thank you. It's a hard culture to develop,
Mhm.
you know, in any organization. And so I appreciate that we are taking time to focus on this and try and move it forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Good presentation. I've enjoyed this one. Thank you. Dr. Meisner.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying them all. I mean, this is really quite fun. This is a good day.
Yeah. That library that Brian and his team are collecting, I'm really looking forward to over time. Does a couple things. Just want to highlight one, it's recognition, right, of this culture. We had this problem. We tried this, right? So we want to recognize that. But then in many instances, we might scale, right? So the communication boards is an example. Oh, we should do that in more places. Let's do that. And so
That was my question.
yeah.
It said on King 5, they said by the end of the year, and I don't know which school year that was.
This year.
This year, that communication board would be placed on all 18
That's right.
campuses.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
That's right. And so that's already in motion. They're being delivered and they're being positioned, and schools are working to get that not just there, but then taught for staff, students, and families about how and why they're to be used. So this is one of the powerful things about innovation, right? We try, and then many of the things we need to scale, and then it might become more of a type, you know, but it originated from a place of loose, but that loose was defined with some processes that were consistent and structured. So people kind of know the sandbox they're playing in. All right, speaking of innovation, we are excited to provide this update on C1B, take you back to January. Course offerings, and Larry had framed that we have much work to do. And so Larry, come on up and give us the update about all the great work that he and his team have done with course offerings, particularly at the middle level.
Thanks, Dr. Meisner. And thank you, President Lesane, Board of Directors, and Dr. Saltzman for the opportunity to give you an update on C2B, which is our middle school redesign. Full disclosure, normally when I come in front of the board, you get to see me in my policy role presenting to the board as a very stoic sort of situation. Tonight won't be one of those, won't be like that. I would dare say my heart's racing right now about presenting in front of you. And the reason because of that is as Brian Breckley just presented, creating a culture of risk, innovating and creating something new is really at the heart of what we do as educators, especially as leaders, because everybody who's in this room, we get into this because we want to make better for kids, right? And this particular initiative, as we've gone through it and presented it here to the board for updates, is very technical in nature, but its outcome is very innovative and very exciting for the future of Everett Public Schools. So as I go through the presentation tonight, I'm going to start with some of the more technical things that we've done, but I'm going to kind of end it with where the future is going and the opportunities that exist moving forward because of this foundation. It's easy to think that innovation just kind of happens, right? But a lot of great innovations require deep thinking and deep planning, right? Because if it's not built upon solid foundation, all the great things to come don't sustain. And this particular initiative is the foundation upon which our secondary education can continue to innovate and take some risks and thrive to meet the needs of our kids in a future that we will not probably be here to see in Everett Public Schools, right? So with that in mind, the first part of the presentation is a little technical update, and then we're going to get into more of the exciting pieces. So when I last spoke and presented in front of the board, I had shared with you this slide about how much engagement we've had over the last 2 years, not only with district employees and other leadership groups, creating specialty groups to look at curriculum and adapt instructional maps, but also just most recently in the middle level, we've engaged 4,500 or so students in selecting courses for next year to implement this new middle school redesign. And in addition to that, the work we've done with able schools around our high school master schedule analysis has made decisions at the building level to increase more equity and access to rigorous coursework for students, for which we're already seeing through registrations, more students participating who traditionally have not in the past. So really exciting work coming out of our master scheduling analysis. When I was last presenting, we were at the point in the year where our high schools were finishing up setting their plans to access and recruit more students into more challenging coursework at the high school level and setting their plans. It also kicked off for the middle level of leadership and for many of my colleagues here at the CRC with whom I work to start creating the new materials and the new infrastructure within our technological systems that does master scheduling, the way that we've redesigned all of our materials for registration that are outward facing to families and students, but also inward facing for administrators. That work all started right after my last presentation to the board. And so while I'm not going to go through each one of these or cite them, you can just see the work that took place sequentially right after that presentation in early February. A lot of that work was around supporting change, because great innovation does mean things will have to change, right? And we have to think through change strategically, intentionally, because missing out on big items that we need to support effectively can create opposite results of what we're working for, right? So a lot of the deliverables that you see up here on the left were all about making sure that the people who are interfacing and implementing these new changes were prepared and ready to go to serve kids and families. And as we got into March and then into April, that's when the course selections, the counselors were going in with the new materials, registering students for the class, and explaining and doing presentations to families at the middle schools about what the new 6-period day would look like, what that structure was, and then how those changes and opportunities are now increased for their students as they're registering for next year's classes. When we came back from spring break, we engaged our middle level leaders with the support of my CRC colleagues here to help our middle school principals begin the master scheduling process. Because for many of them, they've never done a 6-period schedule with the parameters to develop one. They've done a 7-period schedule. And although it's just a number, just one number different, it is very different the way you master schedule a 7 or a 6-period schedule. So with that, some examples of recent work. It was really important to our principal group and to our building leaders that we really message this well and create these opportunities for families to engage with us about what is the new options for next year in terms of course selection. So you can see here examples from our middle schools, from North Middle School and Heatherwood Middle School, Gateway Middle School, inviting their families in for some open house nights, curriculum nights, for them to learn more about that. In addition, you may recall way back in February, our middle level leaders did a Zoom, all district, all 5 principals, all district Zoom, for families to learn through a Zoom webinar about the 6-period change. And then also some of our schools followed up again with additional Zooms for families. On the bottom right here, you see a picture of Forest View Elementary School, where the Gateway team went out there to work with the 5th grade students to help them to understand their elective options and choices that they were going to be registering for in the month of March. On this schedule, this is an example, this slide, of the sort of communication that we did to help our students better understand the 6-period schedule, and then also how we revised some of our materials around course selections to make sure that they were making informed choices on the courses that they would select. So on the left here is a sample from the PowerPoints that were used in our middle schools to then communicate to students through with counselors about what those options and the structure is. On the right, you can see it's a bit of a checklist for the student and families to work through to make sure that they had gone through each of those required selections and have made a choice. What you won't see is this is all the supplemental materials that goes with it, the course descriptions that the students and parents had access to and everything else. Another major shift that we've now done, and this is all 612 in Everett Public Schools, is now we register all secondary students through Home Access Center from our website. So on the left is an example of a video that was created by our LMS department. And it's a narrated video. It's on our website right now. If you go to Home Access Center from the parent webpage, it actually walks you through step by step, narrated how to select your child's courses. On the right is just an example of what that drop-down sort of menu looks like that parents go into and then select the classes. So now for our students starting in 6th grade, well, 5th grade to 6th grade, they all schedule or register for classes, can do it from their home with their families through Hack. So that's a great alignment piece for our district. Once we finished March and came back, like I said, we have been engaging in the month of April with our principals. We held a master scheduling workshop, so lots of support for the middle level leaders. And then at this current point in time, like as of last week, we are just at the point of nearly completing course registration counts to determine sections. Now that's a technical end of master scheduling, but an example of what I'm talking about is what you see here. And this is just a sample, but the technical side of master scheduling is, imagine here in the columns that you see 6th, 7th, and 8th, it shows you the courses on the left, how many students sign up for a course, and then we go through the mathematical formulas, if you will, and there's a lot of other details that I kind of took out of this slide because it's not worth the explanation or time. But bottom line is this is the initial process we go through from when kids select courses to how we determine how many sections we will run, and then you can start to go build the actual master schedule. You have to set your section number totals first. So you can kind of see the matchup of what kids are selecting for, how many, and then how many sections we run on a master schedule. Okay. Kind of, that's just a little look into the technical side of master scheduling. It gets even more complex from here, but I'm going to kind of pass over that because it's a little boring. But what's exciting and what I just want to share with the board, and this is the exciting thing I started with, was the intention of the middle school redesign wasn't just to go from 7 to 6 periods. That was the technical requirement we had to accomplish, right? Mm-hmm. Its ultimate goal was to create equity and access for all students to be able to take electives. Even if you had specialty courses because you are a student with disabilities or an ML student, we wanted to make sure every student in Everett Public Schools had access to the quality programming that we have and the elective options that the redesign created more access for all kids too. In addition to that, we wanted to make sure that we began a new process moving forward in Everett Public Schools for our students that they are now starting to really explore through middle school, but make informed choices about their courses of study at the high school level. Mm-hmm. So that work, I know as Director Anderson has shared with you around choice programs, we're working together to really create this continuity of experience. So when students leave middle school, not only will they know what they're most passionate about in those areas of study to high school, but that our pathways align 6-12. So they just keep going and continuing. In addition to that, we also know that we have great opportunities for students, all students now through the redesign, to be able to earn in those select courses high school credits, with the opportunity that some of our students in the near future may be leaving our middle schools with their freshman year completed. Now that's where innovation comes in to the redesign, because that now means that a good third of our students or more, we're going to have to think about how we and what we do in high school and how we make that even more innovative so they stay with us in Everett Public Schools and continue with us all 4 years. So that's where the opportunity comes from for innovation from a 7 to 6 period shift. It seems really small, but it's actually quite amazing in terms of what we're able to do now in the future. So these new and refined courses that we've offered at the middle school level is creating more interest for students. It's tapping more into what they would like to study, not just what we've concretely offered in the past. We are right now, when we've just done our first level of review on master schedules, we're seeing increased participation in performing and visual arts. It's actually a really good problem to have, but much to the passions of many in the room, we're seeing higher levels of students next year participating in band or choir or orchestra. from our current level of participation. And part of that is because we opened up the ability for a student to take a full year elective and still have another semester elective of choice. And now kids are like, well, I can take a STEM elective for a semester, but I can now take a full year of performing art, and I get to have both worlds. And that's something we haven't been able to offer before in the past. So that's a great trend we're seeing. We're also seeing that our new electives that are STEM-based are having high popularity, but that popularity of the different courses varies by school. So while some schools are, one of the new courses is graphic design, we have a school where it's got 5 sections of kids signed up for that. And that's amazing, right? In other places, we have other electives that we've offered that are brand new that other schools are signing up for in greater numbers than at another school. So what it shows is interest and choice is happening and is unique to each school, but still the same offerings across all 5 schools now for that access. So that's really, I think, a great deliverable of this work. We're also seeing the number of health and PE courses total have increased from the current master schedules to next year's master schedules. Students are signing up for the PE elective. I know one of the things that was out there that people were worried about is PE's going to disappear with this, or people won't want to sign up for the PE electives. That's actually not the case. We also see a high participation in that semester health class, which now is getting a full semester of education around health, nutrition, and wellness for our kids, and physical education. So again, really great opportunities there, and excited for that. And then I just want to let you know, the board, about 2 weeks ago, we brought to you a policy revision around the high school graduation requirements policy. And in that review of that policy change, the law had changed for the PE exception process at the high school level, and that was presented at the board. In that same review, we also uncovered that the requirements for eligibility for exemption at the middle level has changed as well. And so we're going through and making those revisions to procedure at this time, engaging and aligning it strictly to the law. What that means is, just real quick view, is it actually is making it more difficult at the middle level to get an exemption from PE. That's the net impact of that. However, we are working with in the near future here, we're working with our principals and the stakeholder group that was the PE and health group through the middle school redesign to develop our internal process for managing the submission of an exemption request and their approval, and then the tracking of the students completing their hours if they are to do it on an outside sport. So just want you to know that's taking place, and that we're working with people to solidify that here by the end of the school year, going into next. So on the surface, challenges and opportunities. There's been a lot of challenges to this work over the last 2 years. The cool thing about it, if that's an appropriate thing for board presentation, the cool thing about it is, sorry, got a little excited there, I should have picked something up, is every one of these turned into a better opportunity. So where 6-period master scheduling was new for a lot of our middle school administrators, we have more skilled administrators today than we did last year in terms of master scheduling and understanding how to build master schedules that meet the needs of students and are also efficient with the resources that we have. So that's an exciting opportunity. Collaboration with special education to schedule students in co-taught classes or sections has now led our leaders to better know our students and what their needs are and how we're scheduling them to help them build success and to close those gaps in our students' performance. Continued professional development opportunities for staff with new and co-taught assignments. It's helping us to improve our Tier 1 instruction across all 5 schools to better serve the needs of all kids. And then finally, we are looking at, we've been doing work with ABLE on master schedule analysis. We know with budget, that is a challenge to continue that sort of financial investment in that, but it creates an opportunity for us to now maximize our resources or explore a new approach to continuing that work. So again, all those challenges that come through this particular initiative also create new opportunities to innovate and do better for kids. So what's next? We're progress monitoring the building of master schedules. You can see here, it's that iterative process through the end of June where regional superintendents meet with their principals and review their master schedules. The deliverable that you can see before the end of school is here on June 21st, the day before the last day of school, where principals do have to inform staff of their assignment and location classroom by the end of the school year. So that's the next major milestone we have. Some next steps. Now this is the exciting part, okay? I'm at the end. Okay, so we're gonna continue to refine the middle school electives based on what we get feedback from students, right? So we put out some new offerings out there. We continue to engage them in refining those. In addition, we are doing refinement, not just, uninformed, but we're doing refinement based on what we know articulates 612, right? So if we create new middle school electives that dead end and never go anywhere, we're not really serving kids. We're not creating opportunities post high school for them or giving them a leg up on other students who are in our area earning high school diplomas. So it's intentional work to continue refining those electives, but it's very strategic work at the same time. We're also developing a middle school course catalog for the 24-25 school year. We developed materials this year to get it going, but what we're going into next year is developing a course catalog that's not as robust as our high school course catalog, because that's quite large, but is similar to and aligned with that course catalog. So students get that 612 experience through secondary, now that we have course registrations online just like the high school. And I think that continuity for families will be great. We're evaluating how the middle school redesign outcomes will impact those future courses for juniors and seniors. As I said, the opportunity for all students to earn more credits in the near future here coming out of middle school, going into high school, means that we have to continue to innovate and offer courses that students want to stay in Everett Public Schools. And that is where I think the next layer of innovation will come from at the secondary level, is also with that last bullet, opportunities for innovation of high school courses in the future. This is a spark, this is a foundation that helps us to continue to take the secondary experience in Everett Public Schools and to make it an experience that serves the needs of kids in the future, not just today. So exciting work. I'm really excited that my colleagues, have been so gracious to help me in all the areas of responsibility they've been leading in this to make this happen. So thank you, everybody. It was a huge team effort to get this particular change off the ground. So at this time, do you have any questions for clarification for me or?
Yes, Director Mason would like to go first, and then we'll have Director Mitchell.
First, I just want to say congratulations on getting this off the ground. I know this has been a huge undertaking, and I just really appreciate your leadership on this. It's very exciting. I wish it was in place when my kids were going through, but I don't think they want to go back to middle school. So, so a couple questions as you were talking. The health class, but then I was also thinking about the electives. So we have new classes coming. Are we adopting new curriculum, and what does that look like for staffing when we have a new class and no one's ever taught it before, I guess?
Yeah, so from a staffing perspective, the staffing for the middle schools is set, right? How you use that is really the change. So we have staff who may be teaching a new course next year, right? But the staffing at the middle level has already been determined for the number of seats per period for the whole school. So if that answers that
I was
part of the
thinking more
question.
like PD for the teachers that are
PD.
teaching a new course that they've never, and then are there, are we aligning these to any standards? I mean, are there for like electives at the state level? And I know this is probably a Shelley question.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Thank you. Actually, what we have done is we've taken a look at our existing resources in health, and we have put together a scope and sequence and done some training, some initial training, and we'll be doing some continued training both in the summer and in August leading up to those health classes. Shelley Ellis, who is the facilitator in PE, working in the CTE group, has been doing a lot of work with those teachers as we have identified who will be teaching health next year, who needs the professional development around those different pieces. I will tell you that one of the things that we are worried about is we have a kind of rudimentary scope and sequence with existing resources that are aligned to the standards in the state of Washington. However, we have committed to, as we're developing our adoption forecast, looking at what are the areas that need either some redefinition or a tighter scope and sequence so that we can have a little bit of a longer runway in helping to identify what other curriculum resources they may need as they're beginning to teach those courses at the middle level. Of course, we have sexual health education already established that was adopted, so that'll be a piece of the review as well.
And will we be able to integrate a little bit more social emotional into those health classes?
Yes, there's
Will
definitely
it give it more time, or we'll have more time with the kids?
a little more time for social emotional wellness, but also thinking about well-being, thinking about some of those choices that the state has also included in our health curricula around understanding like bystander and participation around harassment, bullying, intimidation, giving more opportunity for kids to dialogue and engage in more authentic activities than just as a standalone, course in an advisory once a month, or embedded into a PE class, which is really focused on physical fitness and education. So there are some opportunities. They're also working in some strategies around nutrition and health. So we're trying to emulate what we kind of already see in existing health classes, like in a 9th grade health. What would that look like using the 7th and the 6th grade standards as well? So they've got a scope and sequence as well.
Yeah, great, thank you. And then just a couple comments. One, I was thinking about pathways and their alignment versus exploration, and it's just really great because we're going to be able to offer both. If a student is passionate, it's going to be a lot tighter now, and for the student that doesn't know what they want to do in the rest of their life in middle school, there's a lot of opportunities to try new and different, and it sounds like very more relevant electives. And then just lastly, keeping kids in school, and if they can come out of middle school with a lot of high school credit, what a great opportunity to take more college and the high school classes. And if I read correctly, they're going to be free now.
That's correct.
And so I'm hoping that perhaps as this all pans out many years down the road, we see more students graduating with their AA, which would just be really great.
Yeah, it's great that a student knows what they're interested in before high school and not when they're trying to get their credits for graduation, trying to figure it out, right? And I think it's a
getting
huge
the
advantage.
appropriate credits is different than exploring passions. Those are two different things.
Yep, thank you.
Director Mitchell.
Yes, thank you. First, before I move on, I just want to thank Jared for helping with the sound, because I can tell you this has definitely helped me participate fully virtually. So I just want to know, like you mentioned, the differences in middle school of uptake of some of those electives, which I think is fine for the first year, but then I really would like to see, of course, every middle school has a different culture, but it is sort of also confidence and that risk taking. And really looking at that, if there is something that could be maximized, especially those ones that are STEM focused, that if there is a confidence level that's not there. But then I'm really thinking to the high school prep, to go along with Caroline's comments, that exploration, that specifically since art is a graduation requirement, and I took a photography class in middle school, and I think that's the last art thing I ever took. But maybe with that, getting that sample of being able to take an art class in middle school that could get confidence, so that when they take it in high school, they know that they can do it. And so I think that is where middle school could potentially be a little bit of a risk taking, because all those classes don't have to go up to high school. But on those electives, how do they go outside of their comfort in some ways? Take a STEM if that's not their focus. Take an art class if they're not confident, because those are graduation requirements once they get into high school. But I just want to thank, just like Caroline did, I want to congratulate you and everybody that went into this, because I know for a long time this was a concern of our middle school teachers. And
thank you.
Thank you, Director Mitchell. I don't know if that fell off because the sound just disappeared, or if you finished your thought there.
oh, yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Director Herman.
On the middle school course catalogs, we'll be able to keep those pretty uniform between all of our middle schools. Elective operative 1 will be offered at all of our middle schools.
Yeah, there are, just like the high school course catalog now, there are rare exceptions where a course may be at one school and not another. And those are clearly denoted when you look at the high school course catalog. So there may be that where a school is trying something out, maybe it's a pilot school in the future, right? Yeah, but innovation. But yes, the goal of the course catalog for the middle level is much like our high school high school experience, to streamline the equity and access and communication at all 5 middle schools, just like we strive for that and do for our high schools. That answers your question.
It completely answers. And a curiosity questions on building the master schedules. Is it in the program that once everyone registers, the program will spit out a draft of like a best? I know that's beyond our level, but
my colleagues who have made one are laughing in the back. No, it is not. No, it doesn't. I'd be happy to show you the technical side of master scheduling if you ever would like to.
No,
but
it
is
you taking on
a lot of staring at a screen for hours. It's pretty complex process. But yes, eventually you do load in the requests into eSchools, and then you start to layer the master schedule in layers, and there's a specific approach to how you layer the master schedule, what goes down first, second, third, to make it all work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fleckenstein. I really appreciate the presentation. It was great. It's great to hear it. I have one question. When you mentioned a challenge was to secure funds to continue the analytical work with ABLE in 2023-24. ABLE provides a lot more information. It gives us an idea of how many kids are taking certain classes and what class will come after that class, that we can then ensure that the students are continuing to improve and go into harder and harder, or not harder, more rigorous, more content involved classes. I did that. How are we looking at how we can ensure that we get the funds necessary so that we can get that data that we need, so that we can continue to help our students continue to look at more rigorous classes in the future as they take one class and move to the next grade?
Well, one piece of what's foundational to answer your question is this: the data that ABLE uses to create those displays and to provide the data in the package they do is provided by us. We have that data.
Oh, okay.
The service that they do is they put it into an interface that makes it very easy to navigate very quickly, as opposed to just looking at mounds of spreadsheets.
Okay.
Where the innovative opportunity we have is we will continue to do this work no matter what. It's, yes, we have the option to continue if resources are able with ABLE, but we also know we have this information in our district, and we might have to just think of a new and innovative way to work with it.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at this point.
Fantastic. And are we continuing to work with improving our pathways that we've already currently established, so that kids or students are allowed to continue along those pathways and improve the number of kids that are taking those pathways and continue to grow those?
Yes,
pathways? And
the work of Director Anderson specifically is leading that work. And there's exciting things coming in the future with all of this at the secondary level. But yes, our goal is to make sure that we are creating opportunities and outcomes for kids in Everett Public Schools at the secondary level that just other people around us aren't able to do, right? Or haven't done yet. That's the exciting part of it. And that work is going on right now. Mr. Anderson just shared with the whole group the work that him and his team are doing, and it's fantastic. So I'm excited. I'm excited to work together as an academic team, all of the good things that are coming. So
congratulations on this effort. It's been really great to see it come to fruition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Mitchell, did you have anything further?
No, I just really appreciate you guys accommodating me tonight, and really miss you all. And thank everyone for this.
Okay, that concluded our third update for tonight. I'm reminded of the work that Ann Arnold shared, talking about early learning is the moment that we start thinking about graduation. And then here we're thinking about how, as fifth graders, we really think of secondary as a whole pathway to make sure wherever kids are, that we get them in the right places. We adapt our courses as best we can to follow their choice and their passions, and give them space to continue to find those choices, not just at the middle level, but then into high school. So I'm inspired by that work.
Fantastic.
All right, that concludes tonight's updates. We have much more work to come in the future. We'll be looking at taking stock of all of our initiatives, and we'll provide an update in the coming months to the board, probably in our August workshop date. Thank you.
Directors, do you have any final comments, questions, or opinions? With that being said, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Meisner. I really appreciated this. This was one of the funner ones. I must say that. This is one of the more funner ones. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.